Hey, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, I'm going to show you how to play this dirty, slow blues that you can play by yourself. You don't need a jam track or any accompanying musician. All you need is a guitar, and this works really well on an acoustic guitar as well. In fact, I thought about doing this lesson this week on acoustic guitar, but I wanted to use that tremolo effect, and I'll go into the details on what effects I'm using to get that sound. So I've got this lesson split into two parts. In this video, we're going to take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half, as well as download the tab PDF file and access the on-screen tab viewer for this lesson, you're going to want to go to ActiveMelody.com, go to the lessons page, and do a search for EP190. That's a lesson number for this lesson. EP190 means 190 lessons. So if you've never been to Active Melody, make sure you go check it out. I've got country and jazz and blues and rock and fingerstyle and all these different styles. But the one goal on Active Melody is to teach you how to play, how to improvise, how to jam, how to understand the neck so that you can become your own guitar player. You're not just mimicking somebody else. All right, let's go ahead and get started with part one. All right, let's talk through tone settings. I'm going to be very brief, and then we'll jump into the lesson. Now, I'm playing on a Telecaster. I'm in the middle pickup selector switch position. I have my volume back at about 8. I never go all the way to 10. I always leave a little reserve tank there. That's just me. But and then I have the tone all the way up on the guitar. Now, I'm going out of the Telecaster into two pedals. The first one is a Zendrive overdrive pedal. Zendrive, Z-E-N-D-R-I-V-E. It's a great overdrive pedal. I saw Robin Ford playing through one about a year ago in Nashville, so I went and bought one, and I've kind of fallen in love with this pedal. It's got just the best growl to it for an overdrive. Now I have the overdrive, the gain at about 4 out of 10 to give you an idea of how much growl this thing has. So cool pedal. You can check them out. I think I ended up getting mine on eBay. I don't know that they still make them anymore, but anyway, you can find them online. Going out of that pedal and into a tremolo pedal, which is one of those little bitty tiny pedals, and this one's called Trelicopter, and it's made by Moore, M-O-O-E-R. It's a very simple, basic tremolo pedal. It's what gives me the waviness to my sound. And there's two settings on it. One is depth, how much wave or how high the wave. The other is speed, how fast you want the waves. And so you just kind of dial it in to get the effect you want. Obviously, there's a lot of tremolo pedals on the market. It's even built into a lot of amplifiers. So check that out. That's what I'm using in terms of tone, though. It's pretty basic. It's nothing too elaborate. Now, let's talk about the song. So the song is we're going to have to retune our guitar, but just one string. We're going to go to drop D tuning. Now, I know a lot of you probably already know what that is. If you don't know what drop D tuning is, it means that you take the 6th string, the low E string, and you drop it all the way down to a D. Now, let me go back to standard here. So it's very easy to do. You just take the 4th string, play the open 4th string, that's a D note, and then you just tune this one down to match that. So you're playing, they're an octave apart. So it sounds like this. You can hear when it matches up. And that's not something you really need a pedal for. Usually, most people can just do that by ear. It's pretty easy to match a note like that. And you get it as close as you can, and that's it. That's drop D tuning. But when you have drop D tuning, you have a whole lot of new possibilities, and we're gonna be talking about those throughout this lesson. The other thing I want to mention is this song it's in the key of D, but it's really neither major nor minor. So that's part of what gives it that spooky sound. It's really unresolved. You know, is that major? Is it minor? It's somewhere in between. Now, what causes that is when you play a major or minor chord, what defines the major or minor is the third interval in the chord. And what I mean by that is if we just take the major scale for D, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to count them up. So you have the root, the third, and the fifth. That's what makes a chord. 1, 2, there's the third, and there's the fifth. Now we're not playing, we're taking the third out of it, so we're just playing the root and the fifth. And that's what's giving it that kind of spooky sound. It's not resolved. It's called a fifth chord. It's also called a power chord. That's what a power chord is. It's just the root and the fifth. By having that third, 1, 2, 3. So if you take a D chord, for example, you can see having that third there makes it sound very happy. If I flat the third, I get a real sad sound, but the third defines it. But when you take the third out, you get the power chord. Okay, so that's what most of the chords are going to be. They're going to be these power chords, and we'll call them out as we go through them. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm playing this finger style, which means I'm not using a pick with my right hand. And this bass part just thumps throughout the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, right on the beat. And what you're going to want to do for that is take this part of your palm and rest it. I'm resting it sort of right in this area, trying to touch on the fifth or the sixth string. It actually touches the fifth string as well. But that's what gives you that muted sound. You don't want it ringing out. It'll get away from you if you let it do that. But like this, it sounds like a bass player. And so that's what we're going to be doing was focusing on that. So as we go through it, I'll kind of call this out, and we'll pay attention to that right hand. Now the way that I started this thing was with this little lick. So we're going to start that. Now, so start by just hitting your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try and get it muted like that. Now we're going to take our our middle finger, and we're going to come up and play the fourth string, or the open D string there. So it's 1, 2. That's where you're pinching both of those together. There's your 1, 2. Back to the sixth string. So let's try that. 1, 2, 6. 1, 2, 6 string. Notice how that note's ringing out while this one isn't. If it's sounding muted or truncated, you're going to want to adjust your hand so that this one rings while this one doesn't. And that's just some minor adjustment. You might have to tilt or move your hand forward or back, but you'll find that place where it's comfortable, and it becomes very intuitive over time to do that. Okay, so and then we go like this. So I'm using my index finger here on the fifth string, hitting that open A string, hammer on to the third fret, fifth string. That's my middle finger again on the fourth string. So when we put it together, we have. Notice that when I did the hammer on, at the same time my thumb hits down. A lot of this is like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. If you're new to fingerstyle, this will be like, what? It's just going to take you forever to kind of go through it, but you'll get more comfortable with it, I promise you. I remember struggling with this myself, and then the more fingerstyle stuff you do, that kind of thing becomes second nature. So you hit that open D string, and then we're back to the thumb. So the thumb stays constant. And that's the first little lick. And then watch this. So that's what's really cool about drop D tuning. One major advantage you have is you can just bar. All I'm doing is I'm barring the 3rd fret here. I'm playing strings 6, 5, and 4. So I'm actually making a chord, making that power chord without having to really fret anything. I'm just doing a bar, sliding it up to the 5th fret, and then hitting the open. Now that's open strings 4 and 5. So we have, and the reason I hit just 4 and 5 is so that I can come in on the beat with my thumb where it needs to be right there. So you can hear it, listen. See the thumb, how it's constant? Okay, so you're going to want to practice that. You know, just go over that little run right there. Just, the thumb needs to just be in motion the whole time, right on the beat. All right, let's take it back from the beginning. We have. And then it repeats. Now this time I went backwards just to mix it up. So instead of going from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret, this time we're going from the 5th fret, and I slid into the 5th fret down to the 3rd fret rather, and back to that D. Now these chords, by the way, and I put this in the tablature, but this is an F5. That's a G5. And then the open is a D5. D5 chord. Pretty cool. And you see that it's really not terribly difficult to do. All right, so that's a lot of information. Let's back up. We'll start from the very beginning. And let me play through it slowly. Okay, now from here, that was kind of the intro. I think this is how I thought of it anyway, that little part. And then from here I start into the verse. And the verse goes like this. So the melody, if you think of it singing, you know, your vocal would be. And underneath that, you have this going on. So the two together. Alright, so let me show you how to play this part. And then I'm going to show you where these notes come from so that you can improvise. You can take this in your own direction and start to noodle around with the scales and stuff, and you could get lost and do this for hours. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. So I'm starting here. Middle finger and ring finger are on the 5th fret, strings 4 and 3. And then I'm going to slide them up to the 7th fret. Let's just talk through this first, and then we'll add in the thumb part. How about that? I think that makes the most sense. So we'll start here. Index finger goes 4th string. As that slides up, middle finger plays the 3rd string. And then index finger back on the 4th string. So as soon as I hit that 4th string, 7th fret, I slide it right back to the 5th fret. So all together it goes. And then I'm down to the 3rd fret on the 4th string. Now when I played that 3rd fret, I used my middle finger for that. And then I took my hand off the fretboard and played the open D string, or the open 4th string. Notice that? Pushing that a little bit sharp. Little things like that go a long way, so just try that. Instead of just going, it sounds too boring, but pushing it a little sharp gives it a little twang. And then index finger on the open 5th string, and then we're going to hammer on to the 3rd fret, 5th string, and then I play with my middle finger on the 4th string. Now, those are the notes. That's the melody part. Now, we're missing the bass part underneath it. The bass part And you can work this out. The easiest way to do this, by the way, is in the tablature. I've got all this tabbed out, and you can literally follow along. But if you're watching this and just trying to learn this way through the video, we're going to now add in the thumb part. So we're going to play it on the beat. And so it starts with the thumb, and then it goes. So let me do that again, slowly. So now that you know the melody, you should be able to work this out on your own. You know, it starts with that bass note by itself, and then there's your first one, those two together, those two together, those two together, those two together, and then staggered, note, note. And then between those, I played that same little Lagrange, ZZ Top run each time. Now, what I tried to do, and I think I screwed this up in the intro, but my goal was to try and alternate that every time I did it. So the first time, the second time, but you don't have to. You have two versions, and whether you're sliding from here to here. That's going to sound good, or vice versa. Either way will work. All right, so let's take it back from the beginning. Here we go. Now this time I have, and for that, the melody part goes, it's very easy. All of this is happening on the same string, which is the 4th string. We're starting on the 5th fret, sliding up to the 7th fret, back to the 5th fret, 3rd fret. Remember, when we hit that 3rd fret, I push it a little bit sharp, so we have, and then you add in the bass notes. So let me do that again slowly. And you can see that they're mirroring, or they're syncing up together. This one, this one, this one. Those are all in sync. And then that one is the one that plays a little bit ahead of the beat. And then you catch up with the thumb part. Okay, so, and then this time did the reverse of that little Lagrange part. All right, so let me explain where these notes are coming from so that you can start to improvise and think in this way. That'll be the real takeaway, I think, in this lesson. And so most of everything that I'm playing here is in the minor pentatonic scale for D, pattern 4. Now there's 5 patterns in the minor pentatonic scale, and I cover those in the Blues Lead course, which you can get as a premium member at Active Melody. So we're in pattern 4 right now, and so pattern 4 for the key of D, what looks like this. You have these notes, then you have, and then it keeps going. Now obviously we've retuned, so this, but you would have fret 5 and 3 on the 6th string, 5 and 3 on the 5th string, 5 and 3 on the 4th string. So anyway, that's where I'm kind of at when I'm playing these notes. Now when I'm playing, so like that first leg, you can see where all those notes are just right in that minor pentatonic scale. Anything you play in any of the patterns, by the way, is going to work when you contrast it with this D, as long as it's in the D minor pentatonic scale. So for example, if we were in pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale for D, you can see that I'm just thumping that just like I have been, but it still works. Now I could have totally changed the feel of this song if instead of playing the minor pentatonic scale, I'd played the major pentatonic scale. So if I went, you can can see it's still just the D, but by changing the scale, it gives the song a different feel. So that's, and you could go back and forth. I mean, you can do that in music. So I think that's what you need to think about as you learn this. I want you to not just memorize the notes, but see where they're coming from. And then take one of these patterns and go, well, wait a minute, I could play the notes in the pattern. Just play the notes in the pattern. Here's pattern 1. You could just do that. You start to create music that way. And I think try that, and you'll surprise yourself. Okay. There's our first two. And then, let's see, the third time through, I went, which is really cool. It's all I did was I thought in my mind, I pictured a D minor chord, which looks like that. And I can see, even without making the chord, I could see the notes. This note, and this note. So you have this little D minor chord there. And that's going to work really nice with this. So I thought about just playing the whole chord, which would have sounded like this. But that sounded too, I don't know, predictable, I guess. So I was just kind of noodling around and I came up with... kind of cool. So anyway, that's where that came from. It's this D minor chord in this position. And so I made the chord, and then I took my index finger and slid it down 1 so that these two fingers stay on the 7th fret, strings 3 and 4. My index finger goes down to the 5th fret, string 2, and that played. So I started with my index finger on the 4th string. So it's 4, 3, 2. 2 is with the ring finger. And then I slid this up 1 fret from the 5th fret to the 6th fret to make that D minor chord. And underneath that you have the bass. So you have... Let me do it slowly. And then I came down and did that little part again. And you'll notice that in a lot of these lessons that I do that I repeat parts. And that's intentional for 2 reasons. One, it helps you to learn it. It kind of keeps re-emphasizing. And 2, it's a predictable format for the listener. So, you know, instead of having to reinvent every time you go through, we like to have some predictability in music. That's why we repeat choruses and things. Is you know, it gives us that. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I know this in your mind. You know where you're at. You know, otherwise, if you never came back, you would just be kind of meandering. All right, so let me back up. I'm going to skip that intro part, and we'll just play through the 3 different verses. So here we go. Here's the first one. Here's the second. And then the 4th time through the verse, I played this. I love that. It has sort of a slide. It sounds like somebody playing slide. And where I'm at, I'm in pattern 3, so I shifted from pattern 4 down to pattern 3, still in the minor pentatonic scale for the key of D. Let me show you the notes. I'm on the 2nd fret. I'm going to start on the 2nd fret, and I'm going to hammer onto the 5th fret, 2nd string. Let me just show them to you without the bass part. And I'm using my ring finger for that. Then I come back to the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Then I go to the 5th fret, 3rd string. And I do a bend, a full bend, to match the note that I'm playing. And I keep that note down, by the way. 3rd fret, 2nd string. So it goes... Then back to the 5th fret, 3rd string, and it resolves on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. So when you put them together with the bass, let me do that slowly so you can follow it. Again, the tab is the easiest way to do this because you can slow down the playback, but here we go. So that's the 4th time through. Now I'm going to end this video here. At this point I go into another part. We actually switch to a different key. We go into a whole other thing. But I'm going to explain that in the part 2 video. Let me take everything that we just learned now. I'm going to back up and I'm going to piece it all together. I'll play through it slowly so that you have all of part 1. And then I'll see you in part 2. So here we go. All right, we'll see you in the second half.